Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. As is our custom at this time, I'm going to ask our representative from the Cobb County Police Department, Officer Rod, if he would come forward. And as is our custom at this time, Officer Rod is here to represent all our first responders in the county. If we will all please rise, he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Officer Ott. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little insight on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we are going to concern ourselves with is the consent agenda. These are applications that not only this board has reviewed, but our professional, our engineering staff, and our zoning staff have reviewed. To our knowledge, there's no known opposition to any of these particular cases. So as we go forward, John Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read each case into the record. And as he does, the applicant, he or she that are here, if they would raise their hand to identify themselves, we will operate that way. Likewise, those that are here in opposition to any of these particular cases, if they would raise their hand and let their opposition be known, and if we do have any opposition to any of these particular cases, we will pull that case and hear it in its regular numeric order. Next course of business is our regular agenda. Again, we'll go through the same procedure with Mr. Peterson reading him into the record. The applicant, he or she, will identify themselves, and likewise the opposition will identify themselves. Those of you that are going to give testimony today, our officer today is Mrs. Bates. Ms. Bates will call you forward. Those of you that are going to give testimony, you'll come forward. Ms. Bates will swear you in. All testimony will be given to the podium to my right. At that time, the applicant will have a 10-minute period to make their application known to this board. And likewise, and collectively, those that are here in opposition, they will have a 10-minute period to make their opposition known. Now, I say collectively, if you have more than one speaker, be cognizant of the fact that you only have a 10-minute total period of time. With that said, I'm going to ask Mr. Peterson if he has any special announcements to make. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is one case on today's printed agenda which has been continued by the staff and will not be heard today. That's variance case V34, Vinings Jubilee Partners LTD. That case was continued and will be heard by this board on June 13, 2018. I would like to ask the people in today's audience, if you have a cell phone, please turn the volume off on your cell phone. The ringing does interfere with the broadcast and presentation, so if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Let's jump right into it, John.
Thank you. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for May 9th, 2018. Variance case V25, Mark R. Hester requests a variance to allow a second electrical meter on a residential lot, allow an accessory structure, an existing approximately 450 square foot pole shed on a lot without a primary structure, and 3, allow parking and/or access to parking areas in a residential district on a non-hardened surface in land lot 156 of the 20th district. Property is located off a private easement east of County Line Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments and recommendations, and stormwater management comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? The record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V25? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V27, Kirk Malberg and Melissa Malberg request a variance to waive the rear setback from required 40 feet to 30 feet in land lot 4 of the 1st district. The property is located on the south side of Palm Tree Vedra Drive, east of Atlanta Country Club Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant here? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V27? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V28, Curley Family Homes request a variance to waive the rear setback from required 20 feet to 11 feet for lot 1, waive the rear setback from required 20 feet to 12 feet for lot 2, waive the rear setback from required 40 feet to 29 feet for lot 8, and to waive the rear setback from required 40 feet to 32 feet for Lot 11 in land lots 694 and 965 of the 19th District. The property is located on the west, south, and north sides of Powder Way, south of Pear Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to site plan review, comments, and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V28? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V29, J. Rodney Dobson requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, which is a pool, to be located in the front of the principal building in land lot 1082 of the 19th District. The property is located at the southern terminus of Driftwood Drive, south of McDuffie Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V29? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case of V30, Regions Bank requests a variance to waive the landscape enhancement strip adjacent to a public street from required 8 feet to 2 feet along Johnson Ferry Road, and to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 70% to 86% in land lot 85 of the 1st District. The property is located on the east side of Johnson Ferry Road, south of Lower Roswell Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to staff comments. The site plan submitted March 8th, 2018. Renderings attached to the email from Kevin Moore submitted May 9th, 2018 for the purposes of the building drive-through design and colors. Existing perimeter landscaping will remain or be replaced with the same number and type of materials. And if colors on the proposed building drive-through are modified, notice will be given to the East Cobb Civic Association and the Board of Zoning Appeals District Commissioner of the proposed change with the final approval by the District Commissioner. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V30? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V32, Raul Fernandez requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 50 feet to 0 feet and to allow parking and/or access to parking areas in a residential district on a non-hardened surface in land lot 431 of the 19th District. The property is located on the north side of Mountain Road, west of Lost Mountain Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic, comments, and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V32? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V33, Dr. James S. Harvey and Patricia Redmond request a variance to waive the front setback from required 40 feet to 27 feet and to allow parking and/or access to parking areas in a residential district on a non-hardened surface in land lot 288 of the 20th District. The property is located on the north side of Burnt Hickory Road, west of Old Mountain Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments and recommendations, development and inspections comments and recommendations, and stormwater management comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V33? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V35, INOP 300 Acquisitions LLC requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 35.6 feet from previously approved variance 105 of 96 to 19 feet, and to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 80% to 81.3% in land lots 982 and 983 of the 17th District. The property is located on the south side of Interstate North Parkway, north of Interstate 285 and Interstate 75 interchange, and on the southwesterly side of Cumberland Boulevard. Staff recommends approval. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V35? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman Board.
Okay, it's back to this board for discussion. Fellow commissioners, anybody have any comments, questions, or suggestions for any of these? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Got a motion? Second. Second, Mr. McDaniel. Okay, all those in favor signify by voting. And we're slow today. Here we go again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a 5-0 vote, which means we approve. Those of you that were on the consent agenda, your business is complete with us. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave. If you leave, please leave quietly, and we'll continue on with our business. So have a nice day. All right, John, as those people are filing out, happy with a big smile on their face, let's go to our next case.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Zoning case V24, Melissa F. Durham requests a variance to allow two separate accessory structures to the side of the principal structure, being shed number 1 on the north side of the house and shed number 2 on the south side of the house, in land lot 597 of the 16th district. The property is located at the western terminus of Oaks Court, west of Barrymore Oaks Lane. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V24? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Two, one, but I'm gonna make this really clear. This is, okay.
All right, ma'am, before you get started, the first thing I need is your name, please, for the record.
My name is Melissa Durham, and actually on your record, you have Melissa F. Durham. If that's important, my middle initial is E.
Oh, it is important.
Okay.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it? Okay. My legal name is Melissa Epps Durham, so the E is not an F.
Okay.
Well, when you go to jail, we need to get that corrected. So I'm glad you did
Thank
that
you.
right now. All right, young lady, tell us what you want, please.
Okay, let me, let's see here. I've got some photos. If I have photos to display, they're just projector photos.
Just give it to that good-looking man
Okay.
right there,
All
and
right,
he'll
I will
display them for
hand
you.
them as needed. So first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to go through this process. I think you learn something every time you kind of get in trouble. So thank you for the opportunity. I am actually, I'm a Cobb resident, of course, but I was born in Cobb County, Cobb Hospital, grew up in the Cobb school system. My parents are both retired Cobb educators. And so I love this county, and I love the standard that we have. We have very, we're a little more strict on some things than the neighboring counties, and I appreciate the high standard that we have. So thank you for that. First of all, I wanted to just give you a photo. This actually was taken this morning, 8 a.m. this morning at my house. So I want you to see the most current visual from my house. This is from my mailbox. This is the most straightforward view of my home. And if you look to the right, there is a tree, and behind that is the first shed in question there. So I wanted to point that out there. Let me get my notes here. All right. First of all, I want to make sure that it's noted that although this is a Cobb violation, I did receive our HOA approval, went through the process of submitting the architectural form. It was in discussion, very friendly discussion with our board at the time. It was approved to put a small half shed at the top right part of my property, and then another one in the rear for lawn equipment. The top one was for play equipment and bikes and things for my children, and the other one was going to be for lawnmower and yard work equipment. So that was approved in May of 2017. Now, in July of 2017, that board stepped down. Unfortunately, one of our head board members passed away over the summer, and an entirely new board came in. So when I built the shed, it was a surprise to them in August, September timeframe when the shed went up. And when the only neighbor to my right, who over her fence, you can see in that photo, can get a glimpse of it, asked them, did I have approval? They said no. And I really don't know whether the board or the neighbor called zoning, but that is where we were, I was just sworn in. That is when I was first aware that we were actually in violation of the location for Cobb ordinance. We moved from area to city limits, where I know that you can have accessory structures on the side or rear, and so I did not know that at that time that we were in any violation. So anyway, we went forward, and here we are. This is a closer view also this morning of the shed. I have approval here. And originally, actually, we were going, there's a beautiful Japanese maple you can see that's in full bloom right now that completely conceals. I am on my property about 50 feet in right now. You would actually have to trespass on my property to be able to get a visual of the shed. This is actually, once you walk all the way alongside that fence and are standing by the sidewalk, there's a glimpse of what it looks like. It's very small, and it's a half shed, and it matches our home. As far as appearance, and the article in the zoning code, it does say that any accessory structures, no matter where they're located, have to match and, well, not match, but they have to be complementary to the main structure, which I believe it is. It has hardy siding painted, matches our house architectural shingles. Originally, we were going to remove that tree and put a trash can concealing fence, but once we were alerted to the zoning violation, I put a halt on that, and we decided not to transplant that tree. This is, when you continue to walk down the sidewalk, this is your view from the middle of the hill. We do set up on a very, you like my cat? My cat followed me all morning taking photos, so that's Skittle. That's looking up. You can see it does actually conceal our trash cans, which I'm perfectly fine with. I have no need to remove that tree. The other, I noticed in some of the paperwork online that we did pay for a land survey. He has it noted that from the property line, it's 8 feet and 7 inches to the corner of that shed. That fence had to actually come that's my neighbor's fence. It had to come my way just a tad due to water lines and utilities that run in that area. So that's my tape measure, and this is a close-up of from the fence property line to the corner. I'm 10 feet 1 inch from I guess the setback property line right there. I know that I'm not a land surveyor, but hopefully that will show you proof. Now, what he may have been including is that the front of the shed has a step, and we did attach it just for safety so that it wasn't a wobbly surface, but you know, he may have considered that. If that needs to be detached in order to not be considered part of it, that's fine. To the other corner, it's actually 12 feet to the other corner, so 10 feet on one corner. So that kind of addresses appearance and the notes that I saw. As far as, you know, unsightly, it's hidden. This is a view of my backyard. So let me show you what my view is. I am directly behind Sprayberry Crossings, the shopping center, which I know you guys are very familiar with. That is Kids Are Kids, or Sprayberry Academy. That is my backyard view in, you know, about midwinter. And so that is what you actually see as you approach our cul-de-sac. So if my shed is, you know, maybe not the most appealing to someone, that is far less appealing. This is the other side of the Sprayberry Crossing. So there's approximately where my home is located, behind that building. Now, Joe Glancy, I think is his name, who heads up some of the, you know, trying to revitalize that shopping center. He had a statement on here that the center's become a place for homeless to sleep, teenagers to congregate, and right beside Sprayberry Academy, there is actually an open cavity to walk through the woods into my backyard. I really don't want to provide a hiding spot or additional housing or endangerment to storing my children's equipment kind of in that area where they can walk. There's a natural easement which prevents me from being able to put up a fence, and then that's the other side. And I also have a statement here, which I did submit. You probably saw Kids Are Kids. They did not state, hey, we approve the shed, but they did state the danger of people in the shopping center. Now, another note I saw was addressing water retention and not being an issue for water. I'm going to show you, just if you can just float through these. This is my backyard where a shed would normally go. This is what it looks like when it rains. We do have a water easement. We do maintain it, but my neighbors to my left and then several to the right, they really can't access it. And on another day outside of this, this setting, I would love to talk with zoning or whatever department. We may work together on just addressing the drainage and the overflow of that water easement onto our property, because as you can see from the pictures, it's very, I mean, we've had entire tree trunks, buckets, tires that just kind of came out of, I don't know where, go across our yard. So there, I know that there's a statement in the code that says when a property line's on a natural waterway, a property line setback may be waived. And so I really would like to educate myself more on what I need to do with that natural waterway. So we've addressed safety, you know, with the center behind us, the access to several people who've been evicted from the woods right on my property, the drainage. And then finally, and I hesitate to bring this up because It really, it should not be necessary, but I will bring it up because it really is a notable reason why we placed it where we did at the top of the property. My son in 2015 was diagnosed with autism, and he is now 10. In over 30 tests, he's proven to have difficulty with decision-making, impulsiveness, low motor skills, coordination, and some of these tasks, like even tying shoes at 10 years old, is difficult for him. And turning on and off lights, closing doors, locking things. And so to me, it seemed like a very tasteful way for him to have access to his equipment, rather than risking having my garage door left open, the contents of my home. I would rather everything in a shed be taken and stolen than my home. So, I mean, I brought with me, which this is confidential Cobb County school paperwork, but I do have documentation of some of his testing, but it's confidential. It's confidential.
Yeah, we're
but,
not
But I do have it. But anyway, so with that, you know, I'm asking if we can please keep it. It's very hard to get down that hill and then in that soggy area. This is kind of looking up the steep hill, and then these are the contents of the shed so that you can see exactly what we have in there. And it's just a nice, easy way for them to have their play equipment. So we really take pride in our home, and you know, hopefully you'll consider keeping it. Now, I did not know until about halfway through this process there's a shed number 2. That was the one we were going to locate at the base of the property where all that water gathers. That is on, I don't know whether you have south or north side of the home. Do you guys need to see photos of that one?
No, we've seen that.
Okay.
And actually, Melissa, you've done an excellent job.
Thank
Your
you.
time is just about
Yes,
up.
I'm sure it is.
Is there anything that you want to just sum all together and say to us?
Just that I would like for you to consider allowing us to keep it where it is, based on, you know, appearance and it being hidden and tastefully done. And then the other one, if you need photos or anything of that one, if it needs to be relocated, or that one doesn't matter to me as much as the one I stated.
Very good.
Thank you.
Enough said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there anybody here in opposition to case V24? Hearing and not seeing anybody, it's back to this board for discussion. Ms. Judy Williams represents that district, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Williams now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was my pleasure to go out, and I actually met with Melissa, and I believe it was your sister.
Yes, she's here.
Right there. And we looked at it, and that property does go way down, because I was having a hard time going down deep. If you stand from the street, you cannot see it at all. It has in it, just like she showed you, equipment that our children uses. I don't see that it would be any harm to anyone.
Right.
But just as a point of reference, this house was on Property Brothers.
Yes, it was.
I thought that was interesting. Anyway, back to the issue.
It was. It's any concern. We had one neighbor express concern about property value, and I think ours is probably among the higher valued properties.
And the reason you had to make a presentation was because we had gotten emails.
Yes, ma'am.
From some of your neighbors.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was opposed to it, but thankfully they're not opposed anymore apparently. And this cannot hurt anything. Now, I did have, Melissa, you can have a seat if you'd like
Okay.
to.
Thank you guys very, very much.
There was a question from Tim, I believe. So Tim, could you come up here? And it had to do with the easement, I think the sewer easement.
Excuse me. Tim Davidson, Cobb County Water and Sewer.
Okay. Did you have a,
I had a question about shed, the one on the north side. I think that's number 1. How movable or removable is it? Is it attached to the house?
Is that the, no, but I need to remember.
it's the one right here.
The one on the top. The one on the top there.
Top right. I mean, it was built on site. It's probably several thousand pounds, and it's not attached.
It's not attached?
It's not attached. As a matter of fact, permitting was called, thinking it was, do I need to go to the microphone?
Yeah,
Yes.
go to the mic so they can hear.
I guess my question is, basically, there's a sewer line going down the side of your house and
Yes.
in the back. The way the site shows, that shed is actually in the easement, which permanent structures are not allowed to be in the easement. So it's a question of how permanent is it?
Right.
If our crews had to go out there and work on the line, Could it be moved
Yes.
without destroying
Yeah, do
something?
you want me to answer? The shed was built on site on a platform, so it has 4 sides. It is on a platform. It is not attached. There's no electrical run, so it is removable, but it would take a lot of equipment to pick that thing up. So, but yeah, it's not. It falls nowhere under needing a permit or anything, so it could be moved if needed.
All right, thank you, Melissa.
I don't believe we would look at that as a permanent structure.
Okay, do you need a hold harmless on it?
Not being a permanent structure, I would say
Yeah,
no.
no, it definitely, I looked at it, because I had the same question, I looked at it, and it's definitely like on skids kind of thing, so you could move it.
It might take a
pretty-
little effort to move it, but it is.
Yeah, it would be heavy, but you could move it,
Tim needs some help.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll send
Might take
somebody
3 or
out to
4 of
help you,
us.
Tim, when you have to move it.
All right, I understand the whole process here. If there's a flood back there, if there's a problem with that sewer line, the county has to go back there and fix it on that line. So they would move the building. This is important. And if a building is not movable, that's why we put a hold harmless agreement in there to protect the county and in a way to protect the property owner. That way, it's got to be done. We have to fix that right away.
Okay, now then, I think that she's done everything that she could do to make this shed, as we've all seen, not noticeable from the street. I don't think it'll hurt anybody. The backyard, we saw what she has to contend with in the back. So, I would like to make a motion that we approve this, subject to all the comments from, staff comments and recommendations.
And I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion for approved, second by Mr. Gunther. Any other comments, questions? Call for the vote. All in favor or opposed? Okay, that carries for approval 4-0, 5-0. So your business is complete with us for today. Good luck and take care of the kids, and the sheds are all okay. And it's a very nice looking piece of property. Thank you.
And a
Next.
great presentation.
Very good presentation.
Thank you.
John, next.
Yes, sir. Variance case V26, Angela Whitener and Richard L. Whitener request a variance to waive rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 240 square foot storage building from the required 35 feet to 11 feet in land lot 283 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east side of Diller Drive, south of Heck Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V26? Let the record show, there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
All right, sir, for the purpose of the record, if you would, please give us your name.
Richard L. Whitener.
Mr. Whitener, tell us what you want.
I simply want a variance to be able to reduce the setback of 35 feet, because 35 feet would put that, I have a drive-around driveway that goes into my basement for the garage, and that would put the building on my driveway. And so I'm just requesting a variance for that to be located where it is.
Give us an idea how big the building is, what it's built out of, what does it look like?
It's a 12 by 20, and it's not permanently mounted. It's on gravel. It's on skids, and it's just an outside building. I did supply pictures. Okay.
So what does it look like? Is it built out of brick, stucco,
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
wood?
T111 siding is what it is.
Is it painted?
It's painted.
Okay.
Shutters are on it. Windows.
Okay,
Um,
matches the house?
My house is brick, but I'm actually going to be painting the brick to match the building.
Anything else you want to tell us?
Not at this point. I bought the building to be able to get my yard cleaned up. So, because I did some work on the inside, and so it's one of those stages of evolution, if you will.
Yeah, we, on our process, when we hear these cases, we go out and look at the property. So there is a little work that needs to be done on the property. I think
Yes.
you realize that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? You only got a 10-minute period. Tell us all you want to tell us.
That's
Upfront.
really it in a nutshell. And the plan is, the plan would have already been taken care of it, but once I found out there was an issue, I certainly didn't want to load up that building.
Sure.
So everything sort of came to a standstill.
All right, for the purpose of the record, is there anybody here in opposition to case V26? Again, hearing and seeing nobody come forward. Ms. Williams again represents District 3, so Ms. Williams will lead us in the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did go out to the property, Richard, I believe you were out of town, but I went down to and made some pictures. And you had explained to me that you had renovated your basement, and that a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing in the clutter and all came from that renovation.
That's correct.
And so when we talked, you agreed that with the approval of the shed, all the things that are laying around and everything would be put in the shed and it would be cleaned up.
Oh, that's going to be done immediately with
Oh,
approval.
okay, all right. And then the other question, you had the signature, I believe you said, of the person behind you, which was the most affected by the,
No, I have three signatures that should be
Signatures.
in the paperwork, one on each side and one directly behind me.
okay, all right. Then, thank you.
Thank you.
My recommendation would be to approve it and give him 30 days to get all the backyard cleaned up and the grass cut. I think his intentions are good, but he just stopped everything until he could get approval for the shed. So my recommendation would,
Make that a motion.
oh, okay. My motion would be to approve this subject to all staff comments and recommendation and 30 days to have the backyard cleaned up and everything inside of the storage building.
Motion, do I have a second?
I second. Oh,
Second,
I'll
Monique,
second.
okay. I've got a motion, I got a second. Any other comments from commissioners? Not hearing any call for the vote, either way. And again, we're going to approve that 5-0. So let's, Madam Secretary, recognize the fact that we approved that 5-0. Sir, your business is complete. 30 days, get it all cleaned up, and good luck.
Do I need to submit anything back to show that it's been done?
No, not at this point. John, lead me forward. Lead me
Yes.
to the promised land, John.
Yes, sir. Variance case V31, Megan Brickbush requests a variance to waive the side setback required 10 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the east property line, and to allow a fence which is in front of or to the side of a house in a residential district to exceed 6 feet in height, which is 8 feet, in land lot 21 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Parkwood Chase, north of Madison Terrace. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V31? Okay, there's no one opposed to V31? All right. Let the record show there's no one opposed. All those wishing to address the board, please come forward, be sworn in.
All right, young lady,
How
again,
are you?
give us your name, how we get started.
It's Megan Breakbush.
All right, Megan, go ahead and tell us what you want, ma'am.
I just want to be able to keep the height of my fence and where it stands right now. I moved into this property. I've been here since I was 4 years old, but I moved back in November to take care of my 95-year-old grandfather. So, because he had a caregiver full-time but did not need one, it was mostly there for my grandmother. So for me to be able to work and go do my things, and two, he was good to stay home, but we needed to keep him not out in the front yard, less distracted, because if he sees someone mowing the grass next door, he's running over talking to him. So that's Grandpa. But
Okay,
Go ahead.
tell us about the fence. I
the
mean,
fence is 8 feet in height all the way around the
and
property.
how long has it been there? What is it built out of? Give us a
It's-
little information.
It's 8 feet height around the entire property. There's a gate in the front right, and then a gate going to the next door neighbor, which is my mother's house to the right. It's built out of pressure-treated lumber, 8x8 and 4x4 post. And I've actually recently bought a bunch of landscaping to go around the fence as well. So
How long has it been there?
it's been there since December 2nd, I believe it was. And before that, I had about 3 major fence companies come out to give me quotes. Before that, I had called to see if I needed a permit, and they said no, I didn't need a permit, and said as long as I was so far away from a roadway, and that's what I went off of. That's when I started calling fence companies. So I had 3 major fence companies come out to give me an estimate on an 8-foot fence with the gates, and then nobody had ever said anything about it. So I didn't want to be in the wrong. I love this neighborhood. I've been there since I was 4. I've moved back to stay. So I do things with the HOA all the time. I have talked to a ton of my neighbors surrounding me, front, back, side to side, and a lot of additional neighbors, and nobody sees a problem with it. So I'm not sure how it was called or who called, but everybody around me is okay with it. They love it. So I just want to be able to keep the fence up. I've put a lot of money into it, so it's going to cost a lot more money to correct it.
Okay, anything else you want to tell us about this? No, when you called the contractors, nobody told you had to have a 6-foot fence, you couldn't
No,
rely
and I
on?
have my fence contract here, and nobody ever said anything about it.
Okay,
I called, I had Same Day Fence Company do the actual work, but
Okay.
I believe I had Marietta Fence Company and Fox Fence Company out as well.
okay. Anything else you want to tell us?
I don't believe so.
Okay, for the purpose of the record, is anybody here in opposition to case V31? Again, hearing and not seeing anybody, it's back to this board for discussion. And again, you're in District 3, so Ms. Williams is going to lead us in that discussion. Judy?
Thank you. I went out to the site and I tried to call you, but
My voicemail's broken.
Yeah,
Were you
it-
at the house this weekend?
yes.
Okay, that's settling to me. So I just saw someone pull up in the yard and take pictures, and I tried
That
to
would
run
be
out
me.
there. Okay,
That would be me.
okay.
Mhm.
I got scared. I went back on the cameras and I screenshot it and I saved it because I thought someone was trespassing. I'm so sorry.
It would be me trespassing. Yes,
Okay,
that would be me.
You're good. I'll give you a pass.
She's a part-time burglar,
Yeah, I
too.
am. I am. I was just.
I'll see
Well,
my
I
mom
got-
for you.
too.
Yeah, be real afraid of me. I got up there because actually the fence looks taller than 8 feet, to be truthful. I thought it was more like 10.
No,
So
it's visually because we sit up on a hill
Yeah.
and the street's down here. So visually it looks maybe a little bit bigger, but it is definitely 8 foot. I mean,
well, I had received some emails from people that were opposed to it. Now, where they lived in your neighborhood, I don't know. But some people have been opposed. In fact, when I went out to get in the car, they said, "Are you here to look at that fence?" Somebody stopped out there in front. So I said, "Yeah, I'm looking at it." But that was pretty much it. You have the signature of the people on each side of you.
I do. This is front, back, side, both sides, front, back. And additional neighbors as well.
My first thought was to have you cut the fence down in the front because in the back, it didn't concern me so much. Like if you drew a line across the back of your house, you could go up to 8 feet there. And then you need no higher than 6 feet in the front. And you probably already know that. They might have told
I
you
know that now.
Yeah, but you didn't know it at
I've
the
learned a lot
time.
now.
So my first thought was to have you cut that down. But you know what? Since nobody showed up and I don't think it's going to hurt anybody, but what I would like for you to do is to do some landscaping along the front
I will.
there on each side of your house.
I don't know if you saw, but on the front left, I had some green arborvitaes. I just bought 15, had them delivered, so I'm going to be buying a few more to put on the inside too. But I want to talk to the owner to the left side and see if I can, at my expense, plant some bushes on his side just to have some more greenery because when it was up, it was very bright. Now it's kind of toned down, and then I think in a month or so, we're getting it stained, more natural.
And that would
So it's
look,
not
yeah.
as
It won't stand out as
in
much, I
your
believe.
face, and then
Yeah.
because I love my home, I take pride in it, and I want to be in this home for a long time, and we just want our privacy. There's renters next door. There's a renter across the street,
Okay.
so we want our privacy. It was a compromise because my husband wanted land, so I was like, no, we'll do this and be private. So and for Grandpa.
I think that given the landscaping, if we do landscaping in front of the fence on the front, I think you'll be fine. So unless somebody else has some comments,
I think we're ready for a motion.
then I'm going to make a motion that we approved the variance, subject to all staff comments and recommendation, and a landscape plan to be approved by the county arborist for the front along on each side of the frontage where it's the 8 foot in height.
Yeah, I do have one question real quick. On the front right, I can put there's some bushes right now, and there's a double gate, just get lawnmowers and stuff back there. But that's where all the water lines are. So if I just did something a little, not have to be so deep, because it's kind of hidden with shrubbery on the right side, but the left side I plan on.
Right, our county arborist will help you with that.
Okay, so do I just have to give them a call?
Yeah,
or-
just give him a call,
Okay.
and he can help you with that.
I can do
as to what
that.
to do. Okay, so that would be my motion.
Okay, motion to approve landscape to be approved by Cobb County Arborist too. Judy, okay? Got a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Monique seconds. Any other comments, questions for anybody? Here we go. All in favor signify by voting or not voting. Again, we're going to give this a 5-0, and you're finished, young lady. You've done a very nice job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, John, where am I? That completes the agenda. Okay. Well, that is very, very good. We've done a very good job today. Let's finish up by doing a little housekeeping. I need to get the minutes approved from the April the 23rd meeting and also the May 7th meeting. I'll entertain a motion on both of those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the May 7th and April 23rd Board of Zoning minutes.
And I need a second.
Second.
Second, okay, let's all vote on that, get that all done. Lastly, and that's, again, Madam Secretary, that's approved 5-0. Those of you, it's Mother's Day weekend, so don't forget your moms. Give them a big hug, kiss, and take good care of them. And the mothers of all the babies, John, want you to make sure you kiss them all too. And with that said, have a great weekend and enjoy yourself. Thank you.